In the second film, the Creator, the gods, evil, and the manipulation of humanity, we begin the process of restructuring the hierarchical relationships between the Creator, the gods, evil, and humanity. Based upon this restructuring, we were able to make clear distinctions between the Creator and the gods. We learned of the immense disruptions created by evil in the God realm. We were introduced to the possibility that the gods are malevolent towards humanity. We asked challenging questions about prayer and its functional relevance to the survival of the human species. In this film, we will take these concepts a step further and deal with the workings of evil as it pertains to the manipulation and control of humanity on Earth. Before we begin, I must reveal to you that possession is the primary means through which non-human entities manipulate and control humanity. What does it mean to be possessed? The answer to this question is much more complex than most people realize. For now, I will provide a simple definition upon which a more complex explanation can take form. Possession, in relationship to non-human entities, deals with the phenomenon wherein a non-human entity controls the human being through various methods. These methods are vast and complex, all of which exist within the superstructure created by evil. Human beings, at our current state of existence, are very fragile creatures. We are easily manipulated, and there are a great number of us who are easily possessed. While possessed, the human being comes under the direct or indirect control of non-human entities. Possession occurs on many levels. A human being can be possessed mentally, wherein they can only perceive things on a limited basis, a basis defined and controlled by their possessor. In this state of possession, the human being cannot think for themselves. Instead, their thoughts are given to them by their possessor. The human being then thinks, acts, and behaves based upon the given thoughts. A human being can be possessed physically, wherein they commit physical acts that they would normally not commit. In some cases, these acts are committed while the human being's mind explicitly desires otherwise. In this state of possession, the human being has no control over their physical body. Their mental will over their own body becomes incapacitated. With this extrication, the human being's physical body would carry out physical acts that are against their normal everyday ethical and moral practice. A human being can be possessed emotionally, wherein what they feel is directly related to what their possessors want them to feel. The possessed human being will then act upon these emotions, even though the emotions felt are not legitimately their own. But possession is much more complex than what I have described. Suffice it to say, I ask that you accept this simple definition for now. Possession is a state of existence wherein the human being is mentally and/or physically and/or emotionally controlled against its own free will. Within the superstructure, possession occurs constantly. It is entirely likely that the viewer of this film has been, at some point, possessed. Furthermore, it is entirely probable that the viewer of this film is currently possessed and has been for decades. I understand that this may be difficult to accept. However, you will be empowered to decide for yourself after considering these subsequent possibilities. Human beings, in our most natural state, have no evil intent. But there are systems in place, ordered by evil, which over time manipulate human beings so that we become easily susceptible to possession. Once possessed, the human being falls victim to the will of evil. This being said, it must be made clear that 1. Evil is not a manifestation of humanity. 2. Evil will use humanity through trickery and deceit. 3. Evil will make promises to humanity in return for humanity's acquiescence. 4. Nothing that evil promises is ever fulfilled as described. To these 4 things, I offer the following story. There was a young woman who had wanted to become famous in her profession. So great was her ambition that her desires of fame and fortune far outweighed the degree to which her humanity was left intact. You see, the woman had lost part of her humanity, a process which occurred over many years of toiling within the superstructure that envelops the world. The losing of her humanity began as a tiny insignificant crack in her spiritual armor made possible through physical, spiritual, mental, intellectual, and emotional trauma transferred and malformed into uncultivated ambition. Over time, this crack became a gap, and it was through this gap that evil entered into the consciousness of the woman and slowly began to manipulate her will. Can you now see how intelligent evil is? Evil formed the superstructure, which then created the gap through which evil could enter. But wait, this is not all. Evil can never enter unless it has an invitation. But who would invite evil to come in? Perhaps a young woman whose ambition and desires of fame and fortune far outweighed the degree to which her humanity was left intact. Yes, this is precisely it. You see, evil will always promise you something, something that you think you need, something that you desire. What was it that the young woman desired? What was it that motivated her superficial desires and uncultivated ambitions? Yes, it was fortune and fame within her profession. But these perceived desires were placed into the young woman's mind by the very superstructure that evil created. Therefore, evil knew of the woman's desires long before the woman had, and when evil made the promise of fortune and fame, the young woman accepted without careful thought or deep consideration. For her absence of thought and lack of consideration, there was a horrid price to be paid. There is always a hideous price to be paid. The young woman had become the possession of evil. She had come into evil's umbrella.